He's got OPS plus of 118. He's putting up decent numbers. So
tell you,
good. Yeah.
The other night, just before the Tiger series, I saw him get a homer and a double. They really slowed down and showed his swing from the side. He looked like he was in tremendous balance. I mean, it was just a gorgeous swing. That everything was just working. I was someone back in the day here, back last winter. I thought they might bring him back. I know it was $7 million, but they had really no payroll. They could have afforded it. I was mildly surprised that they let him go and didn't bring anybody in to replace him. But so I'm happy for him. You know, he led the AL in doubles a couple years ago. Yes, he had a bad year last year, but I just thought it was a little soon to give up on somebody at his age who had shown that they could be a competitive player when they have a lack of competitive players.
I always like Candelario. I still always will, and I always got some crap for defending him, which I didn't understand why, because he was productive. I mean, yes, he looked lost in Detroit, and I think a change of scenery was good for him, and so it was good to see that. But a couple of takeaways from the series. First and foremost, Joey Wentz. They're talking about today that he's not going to go get down to Toledo as much as people want that to happen. They're going to work on it, but Chris, I think the biggest problem we're seeing again with Joey Wentz is something we saw last year in between right before he started getting good again. And in terms of keeping the ball down, everything's been elevated. Before, when he was doing really good, he was able to locate low in the zone, and it just seems like that swing and miss stuff is not there.
Yeah, he was catching a lot of the plate all game. It was an interesting game because he gave up 10 hits, and I think 8 of them were not hit very hard. There's something about, I heard Dan Dickerson talking about it. I'm kind of bummed that John isn't here because I was going to ask him if he knows what a Baltimore chop is, because they were talking about how hard the infield dirt is there in front of home plate in Washington, and how there were a couple hits where we're just ground balls right into the dirt in front of home plate, and they scooted through the infield like an old AstroTurf field or something like that. So I think the Nats groundskeepers are leaning into the Nats hitters' tendencies, which is they put the ball in play more than any other team. They just don't tend to hit with a lot of power. But yeah, Wentz was clearly not the best version of himself, and we haven't seen that much this year. We've seen it once or twice, and when he's good, he's good. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The cutter hasn't been seemingly as sharp for him this year. The changeup is still okay, but everything else is just a little bit off. So, but yeah, I mean, I think part of the reason he's not going to Toledo is they don't really have any options. We talked about it on the minor league show. Reese Olson just had his first good start, but I wouldn't expect Reese Olson to come up and do much of anything. Unfortunately, I don't think he's quite ready for big league hitters. And the other options are not existent. Honestly, like there aren't other starters on the 40-man roster right now.
Oof. Yeah.
So